Hello and welcome to this Axiom demo. Today we're going to take a look at selections. So there are three main tools that you can use to create selections: the magic select tool, the box select tool, and the freehand select tool. Selections are used for a variety of things, including applying operations or restricting the bounds of other tools, or things like copy, cut, paste. But for this video, we're just going to focus on making the selection and also quick fill and quick replace. So the first tool is going to be the magic select tool. The magic select tool selects neighboring blocks that are the same. So by default, the comparison method used is block type. You can change this to block state, which I can demo up here. So here are grass and snowy grass, which are the same block. So you can see when it's on block mode, it will select both of them. When it's on block state mode, it'll only select one of them. There's also solid, which will select any solid block. So that includes, it will select both the dirt and the stone here. And there's also any, which will just select any non-air block. So that also selects the snow layers on top here, as you can see. As you saw there, I changed the limit. So the limit can be adjusted. Typically, you don't want to set this too high, otherwise it can take a long time to preview. But this doesn't actually affect your performance. It's all on another thread, which is good. Next up is range. Range lets you select blocks that are more than one block away from each other. So by default, a range of 1 will only select adjacent blocks. If we set this to 5, it'll search up to 5 blocks away, which allows me to, for example, select all the oak leaves in this forest. Next up, we have the box select tool. So the box select tool just allows you to select 2 points and all the blocks in between them, like so. If you select way above, or if you have a bunch of air blocks in the selection, you can click shrink, and it will fit the selection tightly to the blocks in the world. You can manually adjust the position over here if you want to set some particular coordinates. You can also adjust the box by moving these gizmos here. You can either use these controls or you can use the scroll wheel to nudge it in the direction of your mouse. So if your mouse is on the left side of the screen here, well, it's not actually the side of the screen, but if it's pointing mostly north here, it will go that direction. If your mouse is pointing in this direction, it'll go this direction. If it's pointing mostly upwards, it'll go upwards, like that. Lastly, we have the freehand select. So the freehand select uses a brush, like a lot of the other tools, and will simply select all of the blocks that fall inside that brush stroke. You can adjust the shape of the brush to cube or octahedron. You can also adjust the radius, like so. Lastly, all three of these selection tools share the same option here for selection mode. The default one is replace, which just means that when you make a new selection using that tool, it will replace the existing selection. You can change this to add if you want to add to your selection, like this. You can change it to subtract if you want to subtract from the selection, like that. Or you can set it to intersect if you want to only select blocks that are in both of them, like so. So those are the selection tools. Just quickly, I'm going to also go over a couple of the options up here in this select menu. So you can, for example, I'll set this back to this. So you can, for example, clear it, like so. You can also press enter on your keyboard to clear the current selection. It does the same thing. You can press mask here, and you can change this to, for example, grass. And then you can change the parameters if you want to select snowy grass or non-snowy grass. If you do that, it'll mask it. We also have expand. So if you want to expand your selection, like if you made a magic select and you want to expand a little bit, you can do that here. Expands like so. It's a little bit clearer if I make a box select here. There you can see that expanding. Opposite of that, there is shrinking, which, does what you would expect here. There's also distortion, which is somewhat interesting. It allows you to distort selections. So you can see here, you're able to specify a noise radius and a distance here, and that will distort the selection. If you increase the noise radius, it will change the sort of scale. So you can see now the noise is, the hills are a lot further apart. If we decrease the noise radius, everything is going to be a lot closer to each other, like that. You can also adjust the distance. So this is the distance that the distortion will travel. So you can see with a very high level there, it starts distorting really far, and we end up getting some artifacts around the edge here. There's also smoothing, so if you have some selection here and you want to smooth out that selection, you can do so using this here, as you can see. And lastly, there is bounding box, which if you have a selection like this and you want to get the bounding box for it, you can select that option there and you'll get a bounding box around the entire thing, and then you can use that. Just before we go, let me show you the quick fill and quick replace. So if you have a selection here and you want to quickly fill it with something, you can hit Control F on your keyboard, and then you can select a block and it will be filled in there. You can also hit Control R on your keyboard, and then you can select 2 blocks. So this is the from block, which we can set to grass. This is the to block, which we can set to stone, and there you go. You can see it replaced that there. All right, that will do it for this video. If you'd like to see other things you can do with selections, like cut, copy, and pasting, refer to the video on placement. If you'd like to see any of the other tools, look at the other videos on the channel.